He will step up and care for you deeply when you do this. So stick around here. I'm going to be sharing some valuable information. But I'm going to share with you what I've observed is there's a significant percentage of women who watch videos hoping they can learn something in a particular area when it comes to receiving more love from the man that she's in relationship, whether she's looking for techniques, what can she say, what can she do? And I understand that desire because whether you're a man or a woman, there's nothing more disappointing than being in a lopsided relationship, meaning that you genuinely care for this person or you significantly care for this person and you don't feel a sense of reciprocation. You don't feel a sense of balance. In fact, you feel quite a bit of imbalance. And I think we have to look at what causes this imbalance, what causes this lopsidedness dynamic in dating, mating, and relating. And I think there's several possible reasons. First and foremost, if you're not familiar with love attachment style, I highly recommend reading the book Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller, and read the book Wired for Love by Dr. Stan Tatkin. And all the books I recommend are listed below in the show notes under Jonathan recommended books. Now, why is this so critically important to understand? Because we have all been imprinted in our childhood based on how our caretakers took care of us, on how they gave us love and how we were able to interpret or receive love. And I'll get into this in a little bit more detail in a moment. But first, I think it's important to read these books to understand love attachment style. In addition, I highly recommend reading the book called Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendricks and Helen Hunt. Why is this so critically important? You'll learn about something known as the imago. Imago, I-M-A-G-O. Someone please write that down. Okay. Now, what this refers to is what feels familiar to us in relationships. So if we had an emotionally distant mother, if we had an emotionally distant father, and many women can appreciate that one, we oftentimes are yearning for that emotionally distant parent to give us love. So why is it that we tend to choose people similar to one or both of our parents? Is because from a deep psychological, a deep imprinting level, that's how we believe love is meant to be given to us. So when you think about the idea of a man stepping up and deeply caring for you, I think it's rather important to understand your psychology. There's something I share frequently when I'm working with a client is know thyself. And I say this because women come to me all the time looking for support and assistance in dating, mating, and relating. And what I've come to observe is, well, many men and women alike do this. They operate from a fantasy level, from a macro level, and they're not really getting micro in this. And if you need some support, right here, schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. So we have love attachment style, we have imago, and the other reason why it might be lopsided could be because of chemistry, an inadequate chemistry. Now, we have to differentiate between sexual chemistry and energetic chemistry. See, here's the tricky part in the early stages of dating, particularly for us men. When we are physically attracted to a woman, we are like sharks in the frenzy, and we have to chomp and bite and eat, and our eyes roll back behind us when we're in that state of lust or limerence. And many people confuse this as being love. In fact, most of us have been indoctrinated to believe that if you have chemistry, it equals love in the relationship. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. See, what a lot of couples don't go into the dating process understanding is energetic connection. And quite frankly, I'm going to be candid with you. I don't even know how to articulate it properly. It is just on a vibrational level. We vibrate with some people better than others. Have you ever met someone for the first time, you just clicked with them? See, that's energetic chemistry. So in the same context, we oftentimes, the reason why relationships are lopsided is because we might have been focused on the chemistry piece, that lust or limerence, and not enough on energetic connection? Are we matching vibrationally on an energetic level? So he will step up and care for you deeply. Well, we first have to recognize that we as humans confuse unhealthy attachment in the areas of what I just shared, love attachment style, in the area of imago, or even in the area of chemistry. We attach on an unhealthy level, and it's quite possible we're in the wrong relationship. So it's lopsided, and we want the other person to love us, but there might be a reason why they can't love us the way we want to be loved. Now, I want to share something very personal with you. And again, bear with me. I'm going to be sharing something very valuable to you. I promise. Stick around. Many of you kind of criticize me because sometimes they take a bit of time to get to my point, but there's a real value into hearing what I'm about to share. And that is, men typically get a bad rap, and they're oftentimes called broken. And I don't see anybody as broken, although I might have used the terminology before. I just see many people unhealed. And everybody is on their own hero's journey. If you're not familiar with the term hero's journey, I highly recommend. Can someone write that down in the chat box? Hero's journey and Joseph Campbell. Hero's journey and Joseph Campbell. And what that means is every individual has their own journey in life, and how they arrive to a sense of inner peace is individual for them. And so how they got to where they're at is a reflection of all the pieces of the puzzle that happened even prior to when they were born. So I want to share something very personal with you. Prior to my birth, my mother had my sister, and then she had several miscarriages. I think she had 4 or 5 miscarriages, and she eventually had a stillborn. So by the time I was conceived, I was in her belly. There was actually a 9-year age difference between my sister and I. And during that period of time, my mother was in a heightened state of anxiety, And I want you to understand something. The emotions that a mother in particularly goes through during pregnancy can imprint on a child. And so as I examined this in my own life, I recognized that this was one of the pieces of the puzzle of why I, on occasion, feel completely paralyzed by anxiety. And I'm saying on occasion, I'm not in a constant state of anxiety. So let me just say this. And I've worked on it over the years. But I'm bringing this up is because it can literally start while we're in the womb. And then outside of the womb, my mother didn't know. I was a very rambunctious child, and she didn't know how to manage and handle me. So I spent a significant amount of time in my childhood in a playpen, according to my sister. In other words, she couldn't handle it. While I recognize that we put a child in a playpen, temporarily, but for my mother, it was like prison for me. And that also imprinted on me, or began developing my personality. And then there's another thing I want to share with you. I remember this vividly. I was in middle school. I was 7th grade, and I used to get picked on by kids. I was bullied quite a bit. And so I did something where I would preempt the bullying by going to talking to the person and trying to be nice to them, trying to find out what their needs were, and filling that need so I wouldn't get picked on later on during the week. And this became a habit for me. And what that developed as an adult is a need to be a people pleaser and to preempt people from beating me up, metaphorically speaking. So can I share with you that all of these experiences made up who I am? And while I'm here to say I'm not I've got a lot of work to do, my actions and behaviors during particularly in romantic relationship, was built on a very weak foundation. And my hero's journey has been to do the personal development, self-help, and spiritual work. It's one of the reasons why, for those who are familiar, I wrote a book called What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? Because I recognize this is my journey, and it's your journey as well, to really know thyself. Warts and all, know thyself. And if you need some additional assistance with that, I highly recommend getting the book called The Hoffman Process. The Hoffman Process. This is a deep dive into healing childhood wounds and adult traumas that cause our negative patterns and our limiting beliefs in our lives. I share this story because many men can't step up because the ground underneath them doesn't feel solid on an emotional level. While as humans, we all want companionship. We all want connection. And for the most part, most of us all want physical intimacy. It's a strong biological desire, and it's certainly a pretty strong need for everyone. And if we could just be hooking up with people all the time and be, from a moral perspective or even a individual moral perspective, that's the way our society would be. And yet our society has something known, the word commitment. We call the word relationship. We call the word partnership as the benefit for, or as the foundation for getting companionship, connection, and sex. You see, now I'm not suggesting we have to be in that mode of operandi, but I think to build deep trust with someone, you need some level of continuity. You need some level of building trust with one another so you can actually open up at a deeper level. And so when someone has been relatively wounded in their childhood, like what I experienced, and many of you could possibly relate to it as well on some level, I've been working on my own to heal those wounds that have happened early in my childhood that I had no control over. And yet my behaviors oftentimes were a reflection of some deep-seated woundedness. So what's it going to take for a man to step up and care for you? Ideally, maybe he grew up in an idyllic childhood. Maybe that's it. And he's relatively secure in his attachment style. But I believe the vast majority of single men and women out in the dating marketplace are either anxious or avoidant or some variations of those two. By the way, my coffee mug says, "Swear a little, you'll feel better." And excuse the slurping. So what's it going to take for him to step up and deeply care for you? I think it's going to require this from you ladies, okay? And I want you to write this down. First, when you stand in your power, and we'll talk about that in a moment, when you stand in your power. Number two, when you develop deep friendship with the person that you're with, when you mutually develop deep friendship with each other or develop friendship with each other. And number three, okay? When you operate in a partnership capacity, he will then step up and care for you when these three things happen. Now, first and foremost, standing in your power. What that really means is to have healthy boundaries in your life, to have healthy boundaries. And I like the way Brene Brown articulates boundaries. And she wrote the book, one of many books. I have the copy of called Daring Greatly. By the way, link below to get a copy of this book. So I like the way she describes boundaries. She says, what's okay and what's not okay for me? What's okay and what's not okay for me? And this is every facet. When a woman is in her power, when she can actually establish a boundary with a man, she says, I have self-respect. See, one of the fundamentals of power is self-respect. And I know many of you ladies have compromised in that area because you believe that if the minute you speak up and speak your truth, you'll lose a person. But let me tell you something, you only lose the person who's incapable of actually leaning into a deeper relationship. By the way, chapter 1 in my book, Speak Your Truth, Do It With Kindness, chapter 9 says, if it's sincere and from the heart, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Develop friendship. How is friendship developed? It's on the phone. How's your day going? Did you have a good day? I hope you had a good day. Tell me about your day. What was going on with your day? Is your day good? I want to hear all about your day. Certainly, sharing your experiences is a pathway to developing friendship, but real friendship happens through intimacy. And I don't mean physical intimacy. It's about sharing your feelings with each other about things. It's not, how's your day going? This is how I felt about my day. And I'd like to hear how you felt about your day. It is through our emotions, particularly when we are doing social activities, hobbies, mutual interest, spending time with family and friends. That is how we develop friendship for the most part. I don't want to say it as an absolute. And then partnership. When you are partners with one another, when you're actively integrating into each other's lives and helping each other as teammates. And I want to use an example that will illustrate this. I don't know if any of you watched the, I think it was HBO or Showtime series called The Tudors, which was about Henry VIII. And in the beginning, it was about his wife, Anne Boleyn, which came after Catherine of Aragon. Now, while we know this wasn't a success story, but there is a success story in this. And that is, first and foremost, Anne Boleyn set a boundary. They set a boundary. She set a boundary, no physical intimacy until they were married. Now, you have to understand, Henry VIII, at least in this show, was an absolute player. You know, he basically was married and having, he was unfaithful to his wife. So she set a boundary, and he respected her for that boundary. Number two, during that time where there was no sex, they developed friendship with one another. They developed friendship with one another. And last but not least, to get an annulment from his marriage, they mutually developed the Church of England. And again, this illustrates, and they eventually got married. Now, of course, I recognize it didn't work out but the point is, she could have just been someone he used, and he eventually married her because she had a boundary. They developed friendship, and they operated from a place of partnership. And when a woman or man operates, by the way, this is true for men and women alike. When we operate from a place of, in our power, in our self-respect, self-worth, self-confidence, self-esteem, when we operate from that place, and then we develop genuine friendship with one another, and then we operate as partners with one another, we're naturally going to want to step up and we genuinely care for people that we respect, that we're friends with, and most importantly, we're teammates with one another. You know, ultimately, that is the real, at least in my mind, the real goal of doing all this is eventually become teammates with one another. Otherwise, you just might as well be hooking up friends with benefits or just have a situationship. And certainly, people are welcome to do that. You're absolutely welcome to do that. But if you want something deeper, recognize. Now, you might be saying, well, Jonathan, why is it the woman has to do all the work? I'm not asking you to do any work. I'm just asking you to have this awareness and operate from this place. And certainly, men are easily trainable. When a man genuinely has energetic connection with you, by the way, you can introduce all these things with ease. He's going to say, wow, you just made my job easier. Because most men, sadly, are rather clueless. They're winging it, as I always say. And look, I wish I could be there for you on a first date. I'd have a shotgun pointed at the guy's face and say, what's your intention with my little sister? Because I'm your big brother. I certainly would like to encourage more men to be intentional in the process. But remember, you get to be intentional in your process and see if he meets you. Because if he doesn't meet you, then you can go two separate ways. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating? Please let me know if it is. Post a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to get the books I recommend, it's listed below. If you want to schedule a discovery call with me, if you want to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery, if you want to follow me on Instagram, all in the links below. All right. This is my live video. That means it's time for Q&A. If you have a question, write the word question in the chat box, okay? Then post the question thereafter. Or please purchase a super sticker, super chat. There's a little $ in the chat box. All of the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Asley. That's a picture of him right there. In his honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process Insight Institute, and we give scholarships to coaching as well. So hit that little $. Our goal today is $50. All right. And if you'd like to be on with me live and join the hot seat, I just posted a link in the chat box, and you can actually join me live and you can ask me a question directly. All right, Jennifer just stated, this is definitely resonating with me. So happy to hear. Ruth says resonating. I don't feel we have. You didn't finish that, but I appreciate it. Kathy says this is good advice. I'm so happy to hear that. Let's see what we've got here. We got a lot of good mornings. Thank you so much. Okay, so if you have a question, oh, here we go. Ariel, do you think I can date bipolar men? Very sweet, genuine men. I do not know much about bipolar. You know, quite frankly, I'm not that familiar with bipolar as well. I have a cursory understanding of the emotional effects they go through. I know a significant percentage of the population, I believe something like possibly 5% of the population suffers from bipolar. Another 5% suffer from, up to 5%, I should say, from borderline personality. I know up to another 5% have narcissistic personality disorder, just to name a few. I think a small percentage are genuine sociopaths in life. So roughly about 20% of the population, ballpark speaking, has some level of clinical, emotional health challenges. So I actually was working some years ago with a podcast booking agent, and she openly admits she's bipolar. And she's now married with a child, and it's something she's very aware of. So if someone is aware of their circumstances, their, I don't want to use the word condition, their experiences, I think, you know, certainly having, if you genuinely care for that person and they are aware of it, I do believe it's possible to form a healthy, happy relationship. But it's going to require some radical awareness for that to have any level of success, particularly on both of their parts, having radical awareness about how it manifests and plays out in interpersonal relationships. So again, like, I know borderline personality is one of the tougher ones because there's 1 minute they love you and the next minute they hate you. There's a volatility, a high low. At least I recognize that is, you know, makes it very challenging. Certainly being with a narcissist makes it very challenging. It's not to suggest you can't have a long-term relationship with them. It's just, it's rather challenging depending on the severity of their emotional wound. So great question. Thank you so much. Jennifer just posted a question. I've been friends with a man for over a year. He's been divorced over 2 years. His wife of 17 years cheated on him. We met on a team exploring a different country. Is it more now? Wait, is it more now? Is it more now? Help me. Well, I'm not even really sure what your question is, Jennifer. So, so men who have been cheated on, that can cause a deep emotional wound to a man, and it can make him untrusting with women, future women in his life. And it could cause tremendous amount of emotional walls. Okay, these are just possible and or most likely scenarios. So when you're investing in somebody who was married and had been cheated on them, it makes it difficult for them to open up in a significant relationship. I would want to know how much healing had they done over that ending. Had they had one or two transition relationships since that ending? Before I would even consider investing in someone. And I'd recognize that they oftentimes have walls up, and it's not your job to climb to the tallest room in the highest tower to rescue this person. He or she has to, for lack of a better word, heal or rescue themselves. Okay, Jennifer, great question. Thank you so much. Beach lovers in the house. How are you feeling these days? I see your posts are evolving. Just sending gratitude for being there. Hope all is well. How am I feeling? Folks, I am blessed to have created a lifestyle that allows me to follow my greatest passion, and that's my inner journey. It's interesting, during my silent meditation today, I've switched to silent meditation instead of guided meditation. And it was actually a friend of mine who went to a 10-day silent retreat that encouraged, she didn't encourage me, but I felt encouraged to start doing silent meditations. And one of the fascinating things within silent meditation is learning to feel comfortable in the uncomfortable. Learning to feel comfortable in the uncomfortable, particularly body sensations. Believe it or not, just sitting in, lotus position or whatever it's called, for me is excruciatingly painful. Why I'm bringing this up is I am blessed to have a life where I get to explore the inner journey. My travel is an inner travel. It's one of the reasons why many of you have heard me talk about my psychedelic journeys that I take. On a complete side note, when I was talking about energetic connection, when I was talking about chemistry, read the book, If the Buddha Dated. This is a great book to understand energetic connection with another human being and not sexual connection. Just a quick note. So just to finish that thought of how I'm feeling, I feel like I'm in a good place. I'm recognizing that there are challenges I have in my life on an emotional level, and I'm navigating those. But I'm in no rush to be in a relationship with someone. I'm in no rush. Like, in other words, I haven't, since the ending of my relationship, which has been 9+ months ago, I haven't really gone on a date with anybody, haven't felt, because I feel like when two energetic powers start getting closer to one another, I feel I can draw in someone. So I don't need to date to practice dating anymore. I want to attract in my genuine life partner. And it's what I teach in my private coaching as well. So I'm holding that space in my life that I can have someone special in my life at the same time. I'm grateful that I get to follow my inner life. So thank you so much for that question. One voice says, I always appreciate your insight into us humans, our daily behaviors, interaction with each other. Cheryl in Wisconsin, seems we often think alike. Yay, Cheryl. Oh, Susan has just made a comment about bipolar. I'm an RN and recommend if you want to date someone with bipolar, it's important to make sure that they are on their medication. Often bipolar people are not. Okay. Let's keep going. Oh, Lori just gave us a $10 super sticker. Thank you so much. And she says, I met a 42-year-old man who is autistic, is on the autistic spectrum. We have chemistry, but he lives with his parents, has a great job, but has never had a real relationship. He wants sex, but no relationship. So has anyone watched Love on the Spectrum on Netflix? I think it's Netflix. Fascinating series to witness people that are on the spectrum. I think we're all on the spectrum to some degree. But what's interesting about autistic people is they tend to have no filter, but they tend to follow, they just are more free and more open. So The fact that he lives with his parents, I just think that's possibly just prudent. That doesn't preclude him from partnering with someone. It depends on, is he high functioning on the spectrum? Obviously, he has a great job, so he is. The fact that he wants sex makes him human. So, Lori, if you're interested in dating each other, you got my thumbs up. So, but if you have a deeper question, please let me know what it is, okay? Donna just gave us a $50 super sticker saying happy Saturday and 420. Yes, it happens to be April 20th today for those of us. For those, I actually don't do cannabis that much, but it relates to, I think the perfect time cannabis is to be picked or something along those lines. That's what forward to the time of day. But thank you for the $50 super sticker. That means we collected 60 and our goal now is $100. So we have 40 more dollars to go. Actually, Jill Collins is the one that wanted to let us know that I was on the phone with her. She was talking about a 10-day silent meditation retreat called Vipassana. It's through the Dharma organization. So you might want to look that up. Vipassana, Vipassana. And turns out that my coach, those that follow when I have Sabrina Rising on it, she's done half a dozen or more of these silent retreats over the years. Thanks for sharing that with everyone, Jill. All right. Why not you? Says, question, what is the biz book you recommend about partnerships? Okay, great question. Folks, this is a business book called The Partnership Charter, How to Start Out Right with Your New Business Partnership. Now, I want you to take out the word business and put romantic partnership. This is actually an interesting, fascinating read that talks about how to form a partnership with someone. Now, mind you, it's on an intellectual level, but it talks about something called mutual exchange and fair exchange. And when you understand that an interpersonal relationship is about mutual exchange, when you understand it from a business perspective, you can actually apply this on a romantic level. And by the way, why not? There's a link below. I recommend this book in my Jonathan Recommends section that will take you to my to Amazon for all the books I recommend. Thank you so much. Hey, Beach Lover just gave us a $10 super sticker. Thank you so much. Glad to hear you've leveled up on your meditation. Oh my God, silent meditation is so much harder. I'm up right now. I'm up to 16 minutes a day. My goal is to add half a minute a day until I can go an entire day. My goal is to go an entire day. I don't think I'll do 10-day retreat, but I'll do entire day. And why not wants to write down, she shared with everyone the partnership charter. Exactly. All right, let's see what else we have. Let's see what others. And I will put it, why not? I will put it on my recommended reading list. I thought it was on there. So let's see what else. Thanks everyone for the donation so far. So come on, I need some. Okay, Lori's back in the house. So she gave us a $5 super sticker and she says, I like him so much, but wants just sex. A relationship is too much for him. He never asked me out, but if I do, he will always say yes and text me often. Okay, now I understand. So possibly to an autistic person, the emotional requirement to be in a significant relationship might be too much for him. And yet at a base level, he has a desire for physical intimacy. Now, here's what your big brother, Jonathan, will tell you, and all the women here. Do not fall into the trap. If I give him what he wants, he might change his mind, okay? Now, a broken clock is right twice a day. So you can operate from the premise that it's quite possible that through physical intimacy, he might develop more feelings for you. That is quite possible. Unlikely in most cases, but with an autistic person, it's hard to say. He might end up being chemically bonded with you. But at the same time, you're taking a gigantic risk because he's saying, a relationship is too much for me. And I get that you like him. It's good that you like him. But you see, You get to make a choice right now. You get to make a choice. You can make a stand for what you want. I make a stand that I want a significant relationship with someone who wants to be in relationship with me. Therefore, he doesn't want to be in relationship with me. Therefore, I don't need to go down this road. That's making a stand for yourself. Or you can do the fantasy thing. We all gaslight ourselves. Let's be clear. This concept of gaslighting isn't just reserved to narcissists. We gaslight ourselves all the time. We talk ourselves out of the reality of things into a fantasy or a delusion that we can control our circumstances. Especially, we can control another human being by, if I give him sex, he might change his mind. Folks, delusional thinking, fantasy thinking. Just be aware of that. All right, Lori, thank you so much for that $5 super sticker. Gabby wants to confirm we gaslight ourselves. Exactly. Ariel says the personal question. If you have a personal question for me, please feel free to ask it. I have no problem sharing. Well, within reason, I have no problem sharing a bit of my own personal life. I feel as though, oh, here it is. Here's the personal question. So I have a question for you, Jonathan. Do you think if your loved one has a Down syndrome son, how would that affect your relationship and how would you go for her? So certainly, if I am genuinely in love with somebody, I'd like to think I'd accept all facets of her life if I was genuinely in love with someone. My question would be, if someone is caring for a Down syndrome child, would their lifestyle be compatible with mine in the dating period? See, in the getting to know you period, so you got to be careful with this question, because there's an assumption that I'm going to be immediately lightning bolt, have energetic connection with someone. And while that might happen, oftentimes it doesn't. It's more like a slow burn. So if someone's lifestyle can fit into mine while they're still caring for a child, and we develop the deep roots of trust through social activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork, building skills, if all of those pieces of the puzzle fit, then of course. But I'm being realistic here, because I recognize that dating not someone who, by the way, a father or a mother who has a Down syndrome child probably has to devote a majority of time to that relationship. And if that's the case, then how much time do they have to develop for the kind of relationship I seek? I'm just being aware that could be a dynamic in there. But certainly, yes, if I love someone, I would like to think I could love all facets of who they are. That's kind of what unconditional love is all about, to some degree, is can we love all facets of a person, including their lifestyle? So great question, Ariel. Thank you so much. All right, come on. By the way, who wants to join the hot seat? I just posted a link right there. We need some questions. Otherwise, this is going to be a short video. And I feed off of your questions, folks. And Ariel says, I hope I'm pronouncing it. I love all your answers, Jonathan. Thank you so much. I've been thinking a lot about this. A lot of dating advice for women oftentimes requires women to pretzel themselves or bend and mold for men. And I'm not a big proponent of that. I don't think you should have to compromise who you are and what you want just to have a relationship. By the way, every single one of you could literally have a relationship tomorrow. It might be a completely dysfunctional and impractical relationship, but everyone has the capacity for it to actually attract someone in that is really aligned with you. That requires being aligned with yourself. There's a phrase. Esther Perel says, the quality of your life is predicated on the quality of your relationships, particularly the relationship with yourself. So anyways, just some thoughts to, Ruth is in the house and she has a question. I'm struggling to clear my house to move to live with my boyfriend, large house. lots of stairs, problems with knee. Why doesn't he come and help me? Well, have you made a request? Have you made a request of him? And if his request is no, then what does that say about the person you're moving in with? You know, um, now, it depends on the logistics. Now, if the two of you happen to live far away and he's not in your general vicinity, I can understand why he hasn't come to help you. But I would make a request, that I would appreciate some support in helping me move, because I'm making more of a sacrifice in this particular case. So would you be open to helping me? And if his attitude is fuck you, then do you really want to be in relationship with that guy? I mean, I invite you to ask that question for yourself. But that's not, I think if you make a request and he doesn't meet that, then that probably, it's like, listen, that's a big warning sign. Probably not a true partner in your life. Just be aware of that. Zara Nahar, I can't pronounce your name. Do you think online dating is a waste of time? If not, what sites or apps do you recommend? First off, I know thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people every day meeting and falling in love from an online connection. It happens, okay? So we can't discount it. The ones I happen to like, I like Match.com from the robustness of the site. I like Bumble and I like Hinge. Those are like my three. I like Millionaire Match too. Those are the ones I just personally like, but I like them because of their functionality within the site. That's what I like about it, is the functionality, not necessarily that I think better people go to gravitate to that. But Match.com happens to has the largest pool of people. So that is the one that I recommend for all my clients. But great question. Thank you. All right. Martha, how should I approach my boyfriend whom I just found out is cheating on me? I really love him, but this is killing me. We don't live together. Oh, how do you address it? So actually, I recommend reading this book. This book is called Chatting or Cheating by Dr. Sherry Myers. And in it, it talks about how to address, let's see, becoming a fair wear, why would my partner, bleeding grounds, becoming aware, catching them at confrontation. So a couple things she talks about: getting to the truth. That's a chapter. Think conversation, not confrontation. Confession, be aware of avoidance tactics. Why cheaters lie, pushing for the truth, securing a confession, illumination. So again, this book is called Chatting or Cheating. It is in my recommended reading list by Dr. Sherry Myers. And there's a whole section in the book of talking how to, I don't like the word confront, but address what is coming up for you, and actually looking inward. So I invite you to write down, what are you feeling over this? I'm sure you're feeling, you said it's killing me inside. So let's get more into the feelings that you're feeling. Everybody, hold on a second. I want to get a feelings list. I'm going to keep talking here so you can keep hearing me. But here's a list of feelings. And why it's important, by the way, look at hundreds of feelings on this feeling list, okay? To really get to the root of what you're feeling. You might be feeling helpless. You might feel sensitive. You might feel numb. You might feel shut down. You might feel disgust. You might feel disturbed. You might feel fear, anxious, frightened, hesitant, nervous, panicked, paralyzed, scared. Really get to what emotions are you feeling and write them down, because when you're going to address this with him, it's important to, instead of saying the word "it's killing me," come up with these more descriptive adjectives. Is an adjective very, yeah. By the way, is it an adjective where you can put the word very in front of it and that means it works? So you can put, feelings are adjectives, okay, if I remember my schooling properly. So that's what I'd first do, and then get Dr. Sherry Meyer's book to learn how to address it. Okay. Thank you for that question, Martha. I appreciate it. Annika's in the house. How do you make sure that you don't seek validation from your partners all the time? What's wrong with validation all the time? I mean, what's wrong with regular appreciation, regular acknowledgement? What's wrong with regular validation? Like I believe when we actually do it regularly, it strengthens our relationship. I mean, maybe I'm naive, but I think the attention, affection, and appreciation on a regular basis is the multivitamin for a successful relationship. So if you're with someone who doesn't acknowledge you, doesn't appreciate you, doesn't validate you, and validation is simply acknowledging, good parts of a person. That's all. It's just acknowledgement. I think the best relationships are the ones that are regularly giving each other this multivitamin. I'm talking about morning, noon, and night to go along with, think about prayer. The idea of praying at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The idea is to be in that state of appreciation and gratitude. So I guess the question, how do you make sure you don't seek validation from your Well, first you have to validate yourself in the sense that you have to feel your own self-worth. But you know what? I think it's important to be in relationship with people that are cheerleaders. That's how I feel about it anyway. Ellen says, I really appreciate your content. I've had some of the books you speak of, and I realize it would be beneficial to read them again. Overall, you are giving me a lot of food for thought. That's what I do for a living, give food for thought. Melissa says, dump the cheater. It's disrespectful. The pain makes it too hard to look at them the same way ever again. That's always mistrust after. That doesn't. Again, infidelity has the potential of bringing two people closer together if they get to the actual root of what caused the infidelity. For a more seasoned relationship, I think it's not, I mean, I wouldn't recommend throwing in the towel without some effort, but my chances are in your particular, and again, we're talking about the broken clock syndrome, whether or not that's actually going to work or not, in my personal opinion. Daisy has an interesting question. Is it wrong to be in love with a bisexual person because I always get hurt? So if you have a pattern of always choosing bisexual people and they always do what? What do they do to hurt you? First off, there is no right or wrong. You're the gift. By the way, the gift of pain is that we can grow and heal from it. So I invite you, Daisy, what positive things did you learn about yourself in each one of these experiences? How have you healed from each one of these experiences? What was good about each one of these experiences? And what are you most grateful for? When you can actually stand in your power and take ownership of your life, you have a greater chance for relationship success. Okay. All right, come on. We need some questions. Otherwise, I'm going to be babbling in a moment. I need some good content to... Chrissy told Lori to run. He just wants to use you like free prostitution and not pay for it. Only date a man that wants a relationship. Here's the thing. I've known women who have had sex outside of relationship because they wanted to feel some level of connection. And, there's no judgment over doing that. Particularly, there's no sense in judging yourself if you ever have done that. I believe that our deep human desire is to want to feel connected with people. And does that mean we're compatible with them? Not necessarily, no. But I think on a deep level, we want to feel connection. Sometimes we try things, and rather than judge our choices, my invitation is, how can we learn from each experience? How can we grow from each experience? That's my invitation for everyone. You know, earlier in this broadcast, I shared that I have anxiety. And when I say that, I have a deep childhood wound of imminent danger. And sometimes it just rears its ugly head. It doesn't happen every day of the week. Sometimes I can go months without it having experienced it. But there are times where I have gripping or paralyzing, gripping paralysis when I feel a sense of fear. And I've learned to regulate my nervous system, you know, over the years, and doing my peace process and my breathing techniques and some of my affirmations. And this is all the tools in my tool chest, amongst other things. And why I'm sharing this with you all is most humans have something. I'm sharing with you publicly mine. You might resonate with some of it. You might not. We all have ways of self-protection. And most of it is predicated on oftentimes our wound in childhood, or maybe it was a separation anxiety that caused this. Maybe there was yelling and screaming going on in the home. Maybe there was a dismissiveness of our parents. No matter what it was, you know, we all have something to work on. By the way, Julie, I see you take meds for anxiety. I'm not in a constant state of anxiety. I'm just aware I have momentary. But I recognize for some people, they actually have to have medication to help regulate their nervous system. And that's certainly, we all have to do what we have to do that works for us. Okay? All right. All right. Ariel has a personal question for me. When you and Marie were living together, since you both are always home, how does that feel, being together all the time? Do you think that's healthy? You know, in retrospect, I think, you know, I think because Marie was suffering from a deep, painful shoulder injury, she wasn't able to do the things she would like to have done. She was actually in significant pain throughout the first 6 months of our living together, that I think made it difficult for her to establish herself in this new area. So yeah, I think being at home 24/7 isn't healthy. I mean, it ended up being our dynamic, and we worked, because we were such great roommates with each other, it wasn't a problem. But now that, by the way, now that I'm by myself, I so appreciate my alone time. It's going to be hard. Like, I think it's important to have good balance. I think it was maybe slightly unhealthy, and going forward, I'm a big proponent of balance. So thank you so much for that question. Annika's back in the house, and she says, do you think that people are predominantly monogamous? And if they are, why not be honest about it? You know, I think biologically speaking, we're not monogamous. I think that's a social construct. I think men are territorial, so they don't want their women sleeping with other men. Women can be territorial too. So we have our territory, we have our need, men have need to go spread their seed. You know, men and women are territorial. So I think that plays into monogamy. I think the question is, why are people not honest about being unfaithful? Because you've got potentially something to lose, you know? So I think humans are rather dysfunctional in their behavior. Doesn't make them bad people. It just means that most humans haven't really evolved to the place that they truly know thyself. Actually, very few humans operate from the premise of the 4 agreements. The 4 agreements. This is a book by Don McGill's Ruiz. First agreement: be impeccable with your word. We've all lied. It's rare that we're constantly impeccable with our word. Always do our best. I think in many cases we try, but sometimes we might fall short. But I mean, that's certainly something to strive to. Number 3, people's opinions of you is just their projections. That's a pretty true statement. And don't make assumptions. If you live by these 4 agreements, I think if you do your best to live by those, you probably have a fairly fulfilling life. I do my best at that anyway. Annika just gave us a $10 super sticker. Thank you, sir, for the love. We've got $25 more to go for the end of this broadcast in a couple minutes. Elizabeth's in the house. What affirmations have you been using that really helped you? Okay, great question. Okay. I have an app on my phone called Think Up. Everybody, I have an app on my phone called Think Up, and it looks like this. Oops. No, I can't. Well, okay. So let me, okay, so here's some of my affirmations. I'm a good, caring person with a kind heart. I am worthy of a life partner that meets all my needs. My body knows how to heal itself. I'm doing the best I can, and I'm a good person. My heart is strong and healthy, working at an efficient level. I have a reliable and consistent flow of income to support my lifestyle. My business continues to thrive with ease and consistency. My clients are constantly referring me new customers to work with. I have an abundance. Okay, let's see. I release my past and trust that everything is happening for my highest good. I'm creating a high quality relationship with a conscious, loving partner who wants the same things as I do. I'm in a loving, passionate, and playful romantic partnership. I can easily recognize my energetic equal, and it will feel like we've known each other when we first meet. I trust my discernment to guide me in all decision making. And it will feel like I know her when I see her. A popular, famous, reputable influencer loves my work and recommends me to everybody who follows them. So here's just a list of things on my it's called Think Up, and it's actually here. I am vibrating and in the vortex to meet and receive my life partner. So I have 40 of these affirmations. The app is called Think Up. I think it costs 20 or 30 bucks. And I listen to these most nights before I go to bed. I listen to it right before I go to bed. Hold on one second, everybody. Yes. See you at 9. Just bear with me. I'm meeting somebody for a walk. Okay. So anyway, yes, those are the affirmations, Elizabeth. Thank you. Monica's in the house. What are your thoughts on Patty Stanger, the matchmaker, and her process of matchmaking? I like how she initially identifies clients and attachment styles. I haven't watched her content in quite some time. It's been over a decade since I watched her. I don't know if she's made any changes. I wasn't really a big fan of the show. I recognize that she charges $100,000 for the men, and what it seems like is all she finds is bikini models for out of the women. That's just my interpretation of it. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Hey, Debbie, big hugs and thank you for the $25 super sticker. We reached our goal of $100 today. Thanks so much for the love. I genuinely appreciate it. All right. This will be our last question of the day. Do you think it is necessary to give ourselves some time off of the relationship to solve self-confidence in both of us? I think individual healing is paramount for individual success. I do believe that relationships, in addition, offer, through relationships, we work on our stuff. So I think through the process of relationships, through our individual process, I do believe if 2 people aren't very equally yoked with one another, then it probably doesn't make sense to continue on with the relationship for too long. But I'm a big proponent of that. So yes, I'm in agreement with that. Hey, folks, I'm off to go for a walk with someone a new male friend I met at one of my psychedelic journeys. Happens to live just literally minutes away from me. So, hey, Folks, if you found value in this conversation, you'll step up and care for you deeply when this happens. A, you are set healthy boundaries for yourself. The two of you develop a strong friendship or a good friendship. And lastly, you operate from partnership perspective. Those three things will help you immensely in getting to a position where he'll step up for you and care for you deeply. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating? Please let me know if it is. Post a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos as well. And if you want to connect with me, check out the links to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. Join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. Get all the books I recommend. Follow me on Instagram, all listed below. And we're going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, give myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Barrick of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, teddy bear, a pillow, and give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. I want to thank everyone that donated. And I also want to thank Ellie and Sharon and Debbie and Gabby and Helga and Julie and Professor Medea and Monica and Denise and Ruth and Annika and Elizabeth and Georgia and Ariel and everyone else. Big, gigantic hugs of appreciation. Have a super duper wonderful day. Be well. Bye now.